even know the little... Yeah, we're on. Okay, guys. Hello, YouTube. Today we're going to take you through a typical track session, how we warm up, what we do, what equipment we use, why we're here, the meaning of life and so forth. I'm joined today by APX coach Bon. Bon, do you have anything to say?
I don't like to hold a microphone clips.
He doesn't like the small mic.
No, I don't really see the point in getting a clip-on mic and then
holding it.
It
makes you feel like a giant.
Yeah.
Anyway, right, let's get to it. Okay, so one of the things we're going to be going through today is equipment. What do you need? Obviously with APX we're trying to popularise sprinting, but done in the right way. It's not just like take yourself to a track, sprint as fast as you can. There's way more to it than that. There's a variety of equipment that you can see here. I'm going to talk you through each one, positives and negatives, and whether it's worth investing in depending where you are in your sprinting journey. Anything to add, Bon?
We've got a lot of equipment.
Okay, so a bit of kit. Number one is the StatSport Vest. This is what I'd start with. So if there's one bit of kit you are going to invest in, it would be this. Reason being is that you can warm up and it'll tell you the speed that you're going at. That's a really good way of gauging how your central nervous system is firing on that day, how much effort you have to put in, and what that relates to in terms of your top speed. So I think it's a really good investment. This isn't a sponsored ad. I've not been paid or not been sponsored by StatSport. But what again you do some warm-up runs, see how quickly you're hitting into the mid-20s kilometers an hour. Gives you a general indication of what your performance is going to be like that day. So these are called Activator Belts, and they're designed to activate your legs.
We used them once before, didn't we?
Yeah.
We used them midweek of this training day that we're on, and our faces were about just lighting up with excitement about it. There's just so much glute activation from them. It's ridiculous, even just standing still. Yeah. It feels like you're having to stand taller, even standing just now. To stand in the bands.
So, jokes aside, again, we are not sponsored by Activator Belts, but the reason for this is we've both been sprinting we started at similar time, so 18 months ago. And we're looking at resisted sprinting now, so ways of just like adding some resistance to the sessions. Bon came up with these ideas, so shipped them in from the States. Second session using them, but honestly, they are pretty cool, pretty jazzy. Definitely feel your glutes firing up. So we're just going to do a couple of runs in these, just as a warm up, really. So generally speaking, in terms of a warm up, I spend about probably half an hour. It sometimes can be even like 45 minutes. Start with some myofascial work, which is the stuff you saw earlier, and so some gentle jogging, then some drills, and then you just want to feel as if like everything feels nice and smooth, and then you go into the max stuff. But even that, you'll do a lot of warming up, which again you'll see how we build into the max efforts. Anything you'd add?
Yeah, I just done a couple of lengths in these activators. I've turned my GPS vest on now, so it'll just be interesting to see what kind of speed and what kind of feel we get from using those during the session, as we're getting into the last little bit of phase of starting to really begin to sprint in the session. Yeah.
Honestly, these are insane. Got the most crazy glute bump you can imagine. Moved on to the FreeLap Cones. These are actually the first purchase that we got from the testing equipment, just purely because we wanted an accurate way of getting times without having any human error. Also, the other benefit is that you can train on your own and get some times without having to use a stopwatch. So what we do here, we've done the myofascial work, we've done just general warm-ups, got our speed up. I just do I'm going to do maybe 2 10-meter sprints in trainers, then switch to spikes, and then we start the session. Today's session is going to be working up to 3 sets of 40 meters. it's a bit like putting some weight on a bar. Like if you're bench pressing, you put 60 on, see how it feels, and you add on. And sometimes you might need to do a few more sets before it starts to feel smooth. So I'll have my average 10 for the block, and then I'll see what it's like in the warm-ups and see how hard I have to work before I'm hitting it. So my 20 then, 291, which is, I wasn't expecting that. So rather than going to 30 or do it repeating it, kind of our general rule is if it's a good rep, move up. Don't waste your energy because you've done what you need to do. I know I don't have many sets in me today, so I'm just going to go straight to 40. Did a great rep there. Unfortunately, FreeLap didn't register. That does happen. How often would you say?
I don't know, it depends what kind of day it is. Sometimes it can miss almost everything, and then other days we'll be able to get everything. One good thing about having the StatSport Vest is that I'm now going to check what my speed was, and that'll give me a fairly good indicator of how the rep was. Based off my normal average good 20s, it should be about 29, 30 kilometers an hour, so let's see if this works. Yeah.
Perfect, yeah.
So 29.28.
Yeah.
Which is, to me, is an indicator of a good rep over a 20. So Chris has just had to do a walkthrough with the chip through the FreeLap Cones, because, I mean, 2 of my reps it hasn't registered today, and then every rep that it has registered that we've been doing on the 40s, it's on something weird where it seems like it's flipped the data from the first and the second cone. And what I mean by that is normally what you'd expect to see, or should be happening on a rep, is your first 10 meters should be the slowest, 10 to 20 is quicker, 20 to 30 is quicker again, so on and so on. What we've got today is that the second interval is the fastest interval, and then the following interval, which is our 20 to 30, is slower. That just simply can't be the case. So Chris has done a walkthrough to check that the cones are working. As you can see, like, we've gone onto a 25-second walkthrough just to basically blank the cones, which is what we do occasionally to try and get a reset on them. Now, we're not like bashing on the FreeLap cones, they are really useful, but when you're trying to get a training session with extrapolate important data from the session, it's really frustrating when you can't even actually get a reading on your rep, let alone weird data. I mean, sometimes what it'll do as well is give us like intervals in terms of minutes, which is completely bizarre. So hopefully now on our last rep each of the 40 meters, we can get a good accurate unit of data.
So that's the session. It didn't get Bond's last 2 readings, so FreeLap must have got a little bit camera shy. We've been through this before many times with the FreeLap kit. It's frustrating as it is good. Obviously, it's an incredible piece of kit for getting information you need for sprinting, but it just missed 2 of Bond's max effort reps, which is incredibly frustrating.
Yeah, a little bit annoying. Luckily, I'm just going to view my StatSports data from the session, so I've got that as a backup. But yeah, really frustrating when you can't get those numbers on something that you're trying to make a concerted effort to improve week in, week out. So yeah, thankfully I've got my StatSports data, 34 kilometers an hour for today. So you could probably say that I'm having a little bit slower day than my PB kind of sessions, but makes complete sense. Reintroduction of some heavier lifting in the gym this week, yesterday, and for me, 3 consecutive sessions of resisted sprints. So this is my first non-resisted sprint session in 10 days. Yeah. Aside from all the data and all the equipment that we've talked about today, quite a good session for me from an APX and the tissue standpoint. Something I've been working on quite heavily is trying to work on internal rotation at the hips. And the really nice thing on those last 3 sets there that I did on the 40s, I was able to intuitively feel that as I was doing the rep. So I see it a lot on camera when I'm doing my reps and I watch it back. It was really nice to be able to tune in and actually feel what that sensation feels like. So now I think as a positive, being able to tune in and feel it, I should be able to start making that correction here on the track, as well as the soft tissue work that I'm doing away from the track.
So yeah, as you probably gather, quite analytical, but that's kind of what the whole point of APX is you go to track, perform, analyze, go in the gym, work on a certain thing, see if you can reintroduce it and see what it does. In total, so just as a kind of like finishing, everything that you see here comes to a total of £1,500. So if you're into sprinting, obviously it is quite a bit of an investment, but if you're serious, it's not really too much if you think about it. My number one would be StatSport Vest first, then spikes, then FreeLap, then Activator Belt. What about yourself?
Yeah, I would, depending on where you're going to do your running, if you're going to come to the track and do it, because of the UK's running conditions, you're probably always likely to run into a little bit of rain. So for me, the first purchase that I made was the running trainers or spikes. Second after that, yeah, you definitely need a way to monitor your time. And for that one, I'd just say pick the most accurate one that you can find that is repeatable. I really do like the StatSport Vest because it gives you some extra data as well in terms of step balance, distance covered in the session, and monitors your intensity a little bit as it learns to know you as an athlete through the sessions. And then I think once you get a little bit further down the line with it, you tweak your technique and you know what you need to improve and what you need to work on, you can start adding stuff like the Activator Belt and the resisted sprint tools.
Cool. Okay guys, thanks very much for watching. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel. If you want to know my top 3 exercises for runners, you can see it in the video there, and more content coming your way in a couple of weeks' time.